5.7. FM, Naked Eyes there, and Morning Dave here. It's 8:39 now, 21 before 9. We always check in and see what's going on with your IRA and 401k and those voluminous holdings that you have on Wall Street. Well, even if you're just a piddling little IRA like mine, this stuff matters to you. Let's go downtown to the offices of Statler Financial Services, where Phillip Statler is standing by amidst the construction zone to tell us what's going on. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
You're right, Dave. Hey, they're taking my roof off, so it's a little noisy here in the office today. But hey, it's a great day. I don't know. Have you given any traffic updates, Dave? I know this is business, but people may want to leave a little early so they get downtown a little quicker.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been mentioning this. What they're doing is between Youth Care Lane and DeSoto Road, the northbound lanes of Highlands Avenue, soon to be known by everybody as the Sebring Parkway. They're going to be shut down for the next month and a half. So anybody with a route into downtown might be wise just take Lakeview as it is today.
Well, that's what they're doing. And Lakeview was backed up substantially when I came in this morning. That's the point I wanted to make today. You know, hey, if you're coming downtown on Lakeview Drive, leave about 10, 15 minutes earlier.
Oh, Lordy, all the overflow that normally goes in via the Highlands Regional route heading down by Highlands, they're all going in by Lakeview now, right?
Exactly. So, hey, I know it's a day, right?
I'm sorry, I was going to say we'll need to do the old Les Nessman helicopter traffic routine for a while, right?
That's right. Let everybody know where it's at. So, hey, but Friday was an okay day, I guess, basically. But today is not going to be a really good day. It's kind of a pretty red day today, Dave.
I was kind of asking you what that was. To set the table, Friday was kind of a basic nothing day. I mean, Dow was up by 1 point. The Standard & Poor's was off by 7 points, and NASDAQ was up by 9. It was your basic routine day. I was asking what it was, though, because overnight the futures kind of went down, and you're saying that all of a sudden investors have noticed that interest rates are going back up a little, huh?
It is. I mean, the 10-year Treasury has jumped significantly over the last week or so. It's up to 1.35% yield. Last week, the beginning of last week, it was still down like to 1.13, 1.15. So we're seeing the interest rate on the 10-year trending up, and that's one of the things that I think is affecting the futures today.
Okay, yeah, the rates are still abnormally low, but an uptick does increase the cost of borrowing for companies that have bonds that float based upon the interest rates. So it's not good news short term for those guys, especially the ones that have taken advantage of the cheap credit and have bonds all over creation out there.
Well, that's true, especially those guys that are going to be bonds coming due, or they have adjustable rate bonds that float based on the 10-year Treasury. So that's going to definitely affect profits, and so we'll have to see how that plays out. But I think the other part that's probably weighing on the markets as a whole is just the tundra out in the Midwest and Texas, and just the lack of the vaccine being able to move. And so we didn't get as many vaccines done last week as anticipated.
Absolutely. Here in Highlands County, they got virtually none in for the Saturday appointments and ended up now they're calling and scrambling and trying to reschedule because they got some in just in time to start making phone calls to do an event tomorrow at the mall for folks that had Saturday appointments. You should have a phone call waiting for you before too long, but it's messing up all over. And hey, the impact of this whole mess on Texas, we're talking about the third largest state in the country population-wise. It's darned hard to underestimate what it's done with an economic powerhouse like Texas basically shut down.
Well, you're right, and it definitely has shut them down. And I think probably, most of the state, unlike here in Florida, when we get a hurricane, it has a path, right? And that path gets knocked out, but the rest of the state is able to pitch in and help because they're unaffected. Texas, it's a little different story there because it affected most of the state. So that's been a big deal.
And there's always that conniption fit right now about Texas's decision to run on their own grid, which gave them some real let's say, imaginative ways to price power. My understanding is that when you sign up for power in Texas, you can choose one of two pricing plans. You can do a wholesale cost plus plan where your rate rides up and down upon the wholesale price of power, or you can do a retail price like we do with Duke and all the other ones. Well, the ones that did the cost plus thing when the grid got whacked are now sitting there looking at $2,000 and $3,000 power bills because, well, the price of power went way up, and their cost plus deal reflected that. There's going to be a lot of conniptions in Texas for the next month or two as they try to sort through the mess there. Not only what it did to our energy market, but what it did to their energy prices out of Texas. This is going to be, I'll say, interesting to watch because I'm trying to stay charitable.
Yeah, exactly. It is going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Hey, if we look at this week, this is the last week of February. At the end of this week, we will have 2 months in the books for 2021. And I'm looking at the kind of the economic calendar. One big thing that we do have coming out later this week, I think it's Thursday, we'll have the GDP. I think it's the second reading of the GDP. To see how the fourth quarter actually ended up in terms of our growth.
And we're expecting it to be, well, less disappointing than we had on the first reading, but still fourth quarter was more of a disappointment than any of us expect starting out on the 1st of January. So this is going to be kind of an important reading to get.
Definitely will be. We'll be looking forward to that on Thursday.
Absolutely. Other tidbits coming out today. Boeing had to ground all their 747s after the engine fell off of one out of Denver the other day over the weekend. I wouldn't want to be a Boeing shareholder this morning. I'm looking at them pretty much leading my big loser list this morning.
Yeah, they're down about 3% this morning. And, poor Boeing. I mean, they just can't catch a break, Dave. And so they are getting beat up a little bit this morning.
And you had a big merger and acquisition story coming out. 2 brands of tires that we've heard of, especially one of them around the Sebring International Raceway.
Yeah, this kind of surprised me, but we've got Cooper Tire agreed to be acquired by Goodyear Tire. So we're seeing that those 2 tire companies coming together. The Goodyear shareholders weren't real happy. Their stock was down as much as 5% this morning. But believe me, the Cooper Tire people, they're pretty excited. They're trading up almost 19% this morning.
Well, Cooper's models at the racetrack were always much better looking than the Goodyear ones. So I can afford to be sexist once in a blue moon. Earnings season continues, and even on a Monday, I gather you got a couple of reports out there, don't you?
We do have a couple. We had Dish Network reported. They had a pretty good quarter. They beat substantially. They came in at like $1.24. They were expected to only make like 75 cents a share. Revenue was above estimates as well. And so those were all good things. However, they had a net loss of about 133,000 paid TV subscribers. I guess that's not a bad thing. They were expecting to lose 194. So crazy what that whole industry is looking at. But they're trading up today. They're trading up 0.88% this morning.
Dish Network got into that great big war with the Nextel chain of stations. It happens to include Channel 8 over in Tampa. They also pulled WGN Continental off of their systems and everything. Biggest single chain of commercial TV stations of the country. They were off Dish for about 2 months in there during that quarter. So that probably explains some of the loss of subscribers, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it probably does. Hey, the other one we have talking about TV and channels and Discovery Communications, which is the Discovery Channel, and a couple other ones. They did well. They beat by 4 cents a share. Revenue topped estimates as well. They on pace to have 12 million subscribers by the end of the month. So they're looking good. They're up 4%, a little over 4.3% this morning.
All right. Got one more to go for?
Well, I don't have any more earnings, but let's look at two things that have been in the news. Kohl's, department store. There's a private equity firm that now owns 9.5% of them, trying to take over the board so that they can make some changes like they did at Bed Bath and Beyond. Kind of the same group of guys are fighting in there. And then GameStop. We can't get away from GameStop, Dave. The guy from Reddit, Wall Street Bets Forum, he came out and said he's doubled his stake in the video game retailer. And so that's pushing GameStop up this morning. It was as high as 10% up. It's up 11.5% now.
What's its absolute price per share? It was up as high as something like 300 for a little while, something dumb like that a couple of weeks ago.
Actually, the 52-week high has the high at $483. It's down about 90% from that. It's at $45.32 right this second.
A little bit closer to realistic anyway. Resetting the table for the morning. Mixed bag with a pretty routine set of moves on Wall Street on Friday. Doesn't look like we got a mixed bag going early on this morning, 45 minutes before trading begins. What's happening out there?
Dave, I tell you, it is red, but it has improved a little bit since you and I have started talking. Maybe that's why. But we've got the Dow down about 0.5%, not quite. We've got the S&P 500 down 0.6%, and then NASDAQ's getting hammered this morning, down 1.1% before we get started. The commodity side, we're seeing a little bit of green ink across the board, with silver up almost 1%, gold up 1.2%, and crude oil just topped over 60 again, up 1.5% to $60.15 a barrel.
Well, I do notice the price of natural gas is plummeting. That's probably on the presumption that they're actually going to get the oil fields going again out in Texas finally.
Well, I would think so, and that's supply and demand. People are going to make it while they can.
Yeah, I suspect so. World markets, it was a mixed bag overseas in Asia. The mainland Chinese markets were predominantly off by better than 1% at the close this morning. Europe is maybe 0.5% either side of the zero line, depending upon which one you look at. No trend overall over in the European Union. Phillip, somebody need advice to try to weather the storm of the ups and downs that you sometimes can't even explain. That takes some neutral eyes to figure things out. How do I find you to figure out where my risk is?
Dave, they can give us a call at 863-382-0037 to do a financial x-ray to really and truly hone in on how much risk they have in their current portfolio to make sure it matches up with their risk number. And they can always join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk 730.
Alrighty, and back here again tomorrow, same time on Light FM. Phillip, thank you so much. We'll catch you then, all right?
All right, man. You have a great day. I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Do appreciate it. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope your week is off to a great start. I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Bye now.